going to be wrapping up our first unit. So by the end of class, I will have your grade in Aries. I'll even move your quiz score over to Aries, and you'll see where you are. So we're 6 weeks in. Normally we're going to have a quiz every 2 to 3 weeks. And remember that quizzes are all 25 points. They're pretty small in nature, but this one's been 6 weeks. We haven't covered that much material. We've spent quite a bit of time on skill building with lab write-ups, with a metric system. I graded your metric system yesterday, and it's important for you to open that up and see your grade comment. Do you remember how to do grade comments? Over here at our module, right at the very top in the introduction, it says how to, not chapter 1, this introduction one here. Submitting work and checking grade comments. So make sure that when you submit work that it's a file that can be opened up. So in the last week there's been a number of files that are corrupt, empty, and blank. Even though it looks like it's there, if you're using the app, make sure you check that it can open up. Right here, I'm not going to really go over it in depth. We've talked about it before, how you see your grade comments. So if you don't get 100%, I'll always write down what you missed so that you don't do it again. And so I'm noticing quite a number of students not turning in the best work. Like, I know you kind of rushed it. Some people just did the numbers table and chart and didn't do the write-up of the metric system questions. So if you really missed on something, I'm giving you an opportunity in the grade comments. It says redo this as soon as possible, because there is a late penalty. There hasn't been any up to this point, but now if you're going to come back and say a week later, 2 weeks later, oh, you said I could redo it. Yeah, ASAP means right away. So there is a 10% penalty, and you don't want to lose points. Some people are off to a really good fast start. That was the goal. Some people are at like 40%. They're already building a track record of not turning in their work. If you're absent for a sport or an activity, it doesn't extend the due dates. You can't wait 3 weeks for the office hour of your choice to make up work. You have to do it in a timely manner. Sometimes I will extend that, but you have to be proactive and come in after school, come in at lunchtime, make an appointment with me. Office hours are great, but it's not the only time to make up work. So we're through the introduction now and the procedural stuff of turning in work and using Canvas, following Aries. You got your notifications turned on in the account so that when grades are done, then it pushes the information out to you and you can go look for it. So if you don't have an A, then do something a little bit different, because then you'll keep getting the same grade throughout the whole semester. I can notice the majority of students in the second month, if they have an A, they'll end up with an A. If they have a C, they usually end up with the C. So this is the easiest month that we've had, except for just learning how to be a student at Modern Day. There's quite a bit involved with that. So there's a lot of technology. Make sure that you know how to use your tool to organize yourself. If you really need a paper calendar, keep track of your assignments, then carry one around. They sell them at the bookstore or really anywhere. So you've got to stay organized. So right off the bat, make sure that you check your metric system grade, because there were 2 pages of how to convert one unit to another, and that's part of this quiz. So you want to make sure that you are on track for that. And the textbook. I'll get to questions after my announcements. The textbook is an assignment. So even today, after the quiz, you're going to have time to work on getting your textbook installed again. I mean, if you didn't do it the first time, this is another opportunity to get help here in class. You also have another assignment. It's quite short. It's just a 6-minute video. It's a play pause it that has 10 questions in it. You can work on that after the quiz. Or you can work on something academic. So I'm going to be coming around and maybe having conversations with a few students like, hey, do you realize that you haven't turned this in? Do you know what your grade is? So I want to do that today too. But the textbook, I added this right here, jkim@modernday.org. Chances are your parents have purchased the book for you during Red Days in August. So you can search for the email that may have been sent to you as well. You can search for the keyword Savas or Modern Day Bookstore, and you might find the email buried somewhere. If not, email jkim@modernday.org. She is in charge of the bookstore. She can find your receipt and then email the code to you. We went over the directions for how to install it. So we had to do a few things over here at the settings of your textbook, showing you pictures of how to do it. Maybe you left off by creating your account and then you just were trying to find your code, so then you just log in with your credentials that you created for yourself, and then you click like install the code. You don't have to buy the book again, but you're going to get that code. There is an app for it as well, but it's not available yet. They're just a little bit behind with updating the app at your Student Zulu account. So we're now into a new unit, and it is down here, number 3 on ecology. So we have The Secret Life of Plankton. You can take this over again if you'd like to get perfect 10 out of 10. And I think that if you have a goal to get an A, you just don't let those points go by. Don't settle for a 6 or a 7. If you go slow through the play pause it, you only need to do it once. If you're listening, you can see the question that popped up, and right before I stopped it was the answer. So if you didn't quite hear it, you can rewind. You don't have to guess and then do the whole play pause it over again. You can just rewind a little bit. You can't fast forward, but you can rewind. So take your time, and this is a really interesting one. It's on plankton that you might not be impressed with, but they're the largest organism on the planet by mass. They're usually made up of one cell, but collectively it's the largest amount of life on our planet. We get the majority of the oxygen that we breathe from these microscopic plankton as well. They have inspired alien movies in Hollywood because they look pretty amazing in the detail that they have. So it's a really cool video. It's got a good storyline to it as well. So you're going to learn a little bit about that. So we're moving into the ecology unit. If you have your textbook and you're just going to kick back here at the end of class, go to chapter 34. That's what we're going to cover next. And just kind of go through the pages and look at the pictures. Our textbook is really a picture book, and then the text just explains the pictures and the diagrams. So it's a really good textbook. I gave you some of the pictures in our study guide so you can see what our book looks like and not miss out on the information while you're getting your book installed. Did anyone notice that I had a dynamic study module? I took it away because there were a lot of questions about, is this an assignment? I put it in as an assignment with 0 points just so that you could see that the textbook has some extra study tools. So we'll start using it on our next unit, chapter 34. So it's got flashcards built in, it's got practice questions, and it's got this dynamic module. If all of you were to do it, it would present itself different to each one of you. If you miss a question, it marks that topic, and then it's going to work with you, give you a little tutoring, and then ask you the question again. So if you know all of it, you can get through the dynamic study module pretty quick, but if not, it becomes your tutor. So those are nice way of preparing yourself. So we're taking a quiz today. There's no retakes, but you do get to drop your lowest quiz score at the end of the semester. I'll do that automatically for you. I will also give you extra credit halfway through the semester. It will be around Thanksgiving, and you'll have an option of doing one extra credit assignment. Those points go back into your quiz grade as well, so that boosts up your grade. The way to get an A in this class is to have A on all your homework and your labs. That's a given right there. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to get an A. So make sure you ace your homework and your labs because you have full control over that. Turn in good quality work. You can get a C in your quizzes and still get an A at the end of the year. You'll just barely make it. You might sweat it out a little bit. So you do want to get some B's and A's on your quizzes. But don't worry because you get to drop your lowest quiz score and I'll throw extra credit at you. Yeah. So when you take a quiz, it could be a little stressful. If you're well prepared, you're going to do well and you're going to ace it. If like a student this morning, he goes, I didn't study, and he's like proud of it, but maybe making an excuse like, hey, if I don't do well, now I know the reason. But don't try to take a shortcut in any quizzes. It's serious business. So you just keep your eyes on your own test. Don't ask for help from anyone. Don't give any help if somebody asks you. Don't make it look like you are trying to get an advantage. Don't hide your cell phone in that little crease in your iPad. Don't have it on your lap and go, oh, I didn't know it was there. Things like that. Don't have your book bag open. Doesn't have to be zipped, but you don't want to have it open with like information there, flashcards, whatever. And when you're sitting at the table, you're going to have your book bag on the floor. And if you're at a lab table, it can be up against the wall if it's not on the floor. But it can't be like in front of you and you're making a mountain to hide behind. So own up to how well you prepared for yourself. If you really worked hard at it, it will show in your score. And if you just didn't have time to study for one reason or another, you're trying to see if you could do well without studying, then if you don't, own it and move on. You're going to take thousands of tests in the next 8 to 12 years. So you have 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, and maybe grad school. So you just have to accept that you're not going to do well on everything, but try to be as prepared as possible. So those are my announcements. So after I give you 10 minutes just to warm up here, maybe review something in the study guide, then we'll start the quiz using the Lockdown browser. The Lockdown browser is an app on your iPad. Search for it, click into it, and log in at Modern Day High School. So if you haven't used the Lockdown browser yet, you do have to link Modern Day's account to the Lockdown browser. You click on the Lockdown browser and you type in Modern Day High School. You can get the app ready now. And so now you can have 10 minutes to study.
Okay, I resubmitted my